All right, everybody, welcome to Virtual Bourbon. My name is Steve Akley. We have a fun event tonight. We are going to be tasting through 4 of the Parker's Heritage offerings. We'll get into some of the history of that brand and the man himself, and of course, all the great fundraising that they're doing right now to help ALS research. So if you haven't done so already, please pour our first one of the night, which is going to be the malt whiskey. So we'll pour that. We'll go over a little bit of brand history here. We'll go through these twice. We do want it participative. So as we go through the first time, we're going to specifically ask everyone for their individual tasting notes. And again, it's your specific tasting notes. There's nothing wrong. There's no wrong answers here. Whatever you're tasting, that's what you're getting. So we'll go through that way one time, go through literally nosing, tasting notes, and then we'll go through a second time because we like to see if they've evolved, they've changed a little bit. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes as we go back the second time, it's exactly the same. Other times, like I said, there's been some sort of evolution. And then we'll actually have some fun by just voting for what is the favorite of the evening. We'll see how that goes. It's just no science here. It's not a big enough group for to have anything scientific or anything like that. It's not a blind tasting. So, but we'll vote as to what the favorite of the night is. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about Parker Beam, the guy who, of course, has inspired the brand that we're going to be drinking tonight. He was born September 17th, 1941. He joined, his whole career was spent actually as a distiller. So when Heaven Hill started, one of the early investors slash people involved was Joe Beam from the Beam family. So the same Beams that, of course, we know from Jim Beam. He was part of that heritage, one of the tree branches off Jim Beam. So he and his son Harry joined Heaven Hill, and they were the first distillers there. So Joe was the first master distiller ever for Heaven Hill, and then when he retired, his son Harry, who had worked underneath him, took over. And then next up would be another member of the Beam family. They recruited over Earl Beam, who had worked for Jim Beam. They recruited him to come over and join them. And then when his son was of age in 1960, of course, he was born in 41. In 1960, he joined his father at Heaven Hill, and he worked. And of course, back in those days when a master distiller was in charge of everything at the distillery, typically when they brought a family member in, they start at the lowest levels, and that's what Parker did. Literally cleaning windows and that kind of stuff. Literally starting at the bottom. He was the grandnephew of Jim Beam, so that's how he fits in the heritage tree. So he worked underneath his father all the way till his father's retiring in 1975. And then in 1975, Parker Beam became the distiller. So the fourth member of the Beam family. At that point in time, Heaven Hill only had Beam members as master distillers, and that would go through the next generation. Parker's son, Craig, would ultimately become the master distiller after him. So, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So, but Parker did a lot of great stuff during his time there. Of course, the company grew significantly. He introduced basically almost all of the brands that we see out today, including the big names like Elijah Craig. That was in 1986. In 1994, under him, they introduced Evan Williams. And of course, today, Evan Williams, the black label, is the #2 selling bourbon right behind a Jim Beam white label. So that's pretty good. He also, of course, famously steered the company through the roughest time in its history because, of course, they were started after Prohibition. So they did not have to deal with Prohibition. So the roughest time in their history was in 1996. They had a fire where 90,000 barrels were destroyed in 7 rickhouses. And it became a matter of not how can we, fill this gap. We can't quickly make whiskey. There's no way to speed up that process because it takes time. So Parker, of course, being well known, a key member of the bourbon community, called upon his friends, and people like Booker Noe and Elmer T. Lee and Jimmy Russell all helped out. And whether it was, sending them whiskey to use or giving them still time, at that point they had no still. They would ultimately buy the distillery where they distill at a majority of their stuff today, which is the Bernheim distillery. They bought that from Diageo, so they were in the market. Their distillery burnt down. They were totally out of the business at that point, having lost a lot of the inventory in those things. So he steered them all through that. So just that alone, being able to survive that makes you a legend in the industry. He was notoriously a hardworking guy. And, besides being a master distiller and all that encompassed, again, and he comes up from a time when the master distiller was like the CEO of the company. Today, it's more of, a figurehead. You're involved in the distillation, of course, but it's more of a company spokesperson. You go out on the road and travel. When he came up, it was you were in charge of HR and personnel and all the engineering department of making sure everything worked there and all those type of things. But besides that, he was also a cattle farmer. He raised hogs as well. He had a trucking company that would haul grain and things like that. And of course, after he was diagnosed with ALS in 2010, he was quoted many times as saying in the interviews he would do then, seeing the end of his life coming at some point, he would say, I hope I die in the afternoon so I can get a lot of work done in the morning. So, he's just a guy who enjoyed, hard work. One of the other things that we're going to be doing today as we go through these, we're going to be doing tasting notes and talking about that. Parker Beam notoriously hated those. When we talk about, I'm getting juicy fruit gum or I'm getting some anise for taste out of it, he was like, none of that's in there. It's water. It's corn. It's grains. So yeah, those things would kind of drive him crazy, but it's a big part of bourbon today. And it's certainly fun to talk about the taste that you find there. The Parker's Heritage brand was launched in 2007. So in 2007, they launched that. So many people, I think, assume that it was launched as a way to raise money for what would become his personal charity, Parker's Promise of Hope Fund. And of course, we did send a portion of the proceeds tonight to the Parker's Promise of Hope Fund for ALS research and to the battling of that horrible disease. But and the money from the bottles, in the standard amount, I believe, is $20. So I don't know if that's changed, but I think that's been what they give for per bottle sold, $20, and they donate that directly to the Promise of Hope Fund. But again, the Parker's Heritage was started in 2007. He wasn't diagnosed till 2010. So kind of this was meant to kind of cap his career, the development of this product. And when that became part of Parker's story, the fact that he had ALS and wanting to make a difference, they added that to this brand. So it does predate when he was diagnosed with the disease. So again, 2007, but then they quickly started doing that. And I think at this point, it's definitely in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, because not only do they raise money through the bottle sales, there's a lot of events and stuff like that. I was looking around for a grand total. I don't see one online. I'm sure it's out there somewhere if you just spent enough time looking for it. But, I saw there were some different dinners and fundraisers. One notably raked in over $120,000 just for one event. So there's a lot of money that is made via the Promise of Hope Fund, which is really a great legacy that he's been able to leave. After the diagnosis in 2014, he did have to step down as master distiller. As I said earlier, his son Craig Beam took over. But ultimately, the disease that would begin to, really impact his ability to live his life every day. His son became more and more of his caretaker, was spending more and more time away from the distillery. Ultimately, gave up his career in distilling to take care of his father, which I think is a very noble thing. And of course, after he stepped down, Denny Potter, who for a time they were both co-master distillers, but ultimately then it went to Denny Potter. And then, of course, today it is a gentleman by the name of Connor O'Driscoll, who comes from Brown-Forman. If you haven't seen Connor, he's a great guy, very knowledgeable, and a great person. So that takes you all the way through all the master distillers of Heaven Hill Distillery. And but we're here tonight to specifically celebrate Mr. Parker Beam, one of the all-time greats, a guy who, I don't know who would come out of the Mount Rushmore of master distillers, but Parker Heritage is in that discussion. And that's pretty cool. When you're talking about 4 distillers that you'd put up to represent the entire history of bourbon making, that's a great bourbon discussion topic. And I think you're free to bring Parker Heritage into that discussion because he is that special of an individual. So we're going to be trying 4 of his products tonight. The cool thing is these are probably all things that he was involved in making. He continued to be involved in the company all the way up to his death, which was January 8th, 2017, as Master Distiller Emeritus. That was the title that he had all the way up until his death. So, and he's continued to consult and things like that. So these are, because it takes so long to age these things, these are all products that either he personally distilled or had some part in, which is kind of cool. So the first one that we are going to be trying is the 2017. We do like to pour one ahead. So if you don't mind, let's go ahead and pour our next one. This is going to be the 2017 here, which is the single barrel. That's the next one we're going to pour, is the 2017 single barrel. Pour that one. And then grab the one that we are going to be tasting first is the 2015 malt whiskey. So the malt whiskey, this one comes in at 108 proof. 108 proof. Our proofs are going to vary a little bit tonight. Not a huge swing, but a little bit. The next one we're going to be having, the single barrel comes in at 122. And then we'll have the Heavy Char, which will be 105. And then finally that Orange Curacao Finished, the 2018 version, comes in at 110 proof. Let's start out by talking a little bit about this one on the nose. What are we getting on the nose here, gang?
I'm getting like a candy note.
Candy. Mm-hmm. I think that's good.
Getting like some smokiness
A little smokiness. Okay. I'm getting a little bit spicy too, kind of maybe cinnamonish on the nose, kind of a spice to it.
I'm gonna say nutmeg.
Nutmeg, okay. Very season appropriate. All right. Home, I forgot to bring the samples. Oh, bummer. That's not fun. Well, it happens.
Yes, it does.
So Jay, you're out. Okay, well, you'll get to try it eventually, it sounds. So we do record it. You can go back and watch along too. So it happens. All right, let's talk a little bit on the taste on this one. Let's take our first one. Cheers on our first one here, and cheers to Parker Beam and all that he's done. Okay. Boy, it's got a nice finish to it. It it's malt whiskey. It definitely has a grain taste to it, almost, like it's kind of a combination of like raw pasta you'd get, what you could imagine that would taste like, I guess, cooked, of course. And then and then it's also got a little bit of a sweetness to it with that kind of cinnamon taste, I'd say. That's interesting.
Like that's kind of the first thing I felt like I got was it felt like very, very coating of the tongue, but also it just, I guess where it hit my tongue, it was like brown sugar kind of note to me.
Yeah. It's got a heck of a finish. It sticks around a while. 108 proof. It stays with you.
That's a creeping heat that kind of doesn't. I was waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting for it, and then it started to trickle down my throat.
Yeah. It's the delayed fuse, is like we like to say when we do these tastings. There's some that just take a while to get going. So that's definitely the case there. Mike, how about you? What are you getting as you taste this one?
Well, it's interesting for a single malt. I kept kind of waiting for that, that big single note, and I'm not really getting that. It's kind of all blended together fairly nicely. Single malt's not normally one of my favorites, but it's not bad. I think it does drink a little warmer than 108, maybe a tinge, because it was like, instant red hots. Didn't have to wait on it. For me, it kind of jumped
you, okay.
right off the bat.
Yeah. Red Hots is a good description though, because it is sweet and cinnamon like. So red hot is probably pretty good descriptor. Yeah. John and Sarah, how about you two?
I'm just a no. Oops.
Just a no, like you don't like it? You're not a fan?
Yeah, that was not my jam. That was hot, and I don't know, there's a whole lot of coating and hotness, and it was just not my
Yes. Yeah. How about you, John? You agree with that, or do you feel differently?
I wasn't a huge fan, but it's a lot different. I didn't mind the higher, proof of it, but it kind of got lost. I didn't have much up front. I didn't have much in the finish. Everything was just in the middle of the mouth on there.
Gotcha.
And it was that cinnamon big red type of, and it's just stuck in it. I think there's probably some other stuff that it's overriding. kind of
Mhm.
just not up because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely kind of get, like you said, the mid palate is where it definitely hits. And, so I'm talking about, the center of my tongue and the roof of my mouth too, is where I feel it. How about you, Mr. Legend?
It heats up real nice. Reminds me of some Speyside scotches.
Speyside Scotch. Okay. Are those the good ones? I don't know enough about Scotch.
Yeah, those
Speyside-
are good
Is
ones.
that a compliment? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's good. I don't actually know. Yeah. Sometimes people think all about whiskey, and I actually don't. I just know bourbon and American whiskey, I guess. American rye. But I don't know anything about Scotch. And I know there are some that are drinkable. There's a lot I just don't like. I don't like the heavy peat, heavy smoke stuff. So
Yeah,
that's definitely not my thing.
Speyside scotches have no.
They have, yeah. I've tried some of those then, or at least like that where it's and it's good. It's good. But then I still
Rick, is Balvenia Speyside? Because that's one that I've always thought was all right.
Which one
Balvenie.
Balvenie.
is that? A single malt,
I don't know. No.
or is that a blended scotch?
I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I was just curious.
It's
You
a
started
single
talking about
malt.
scotches. I was curious.
It's a single malt and it is a Speyside.
Okay.
There you go. Wow, Casey, look at you.
That's one I actually kind of enjoy, but
My boss drinks a lot of it, so.
Okay.
See, I
Casey-
know a little bit about scotches, not a whole lot.
Yeah. Casey, are you were you a Scotch guy before this? Because I know you always say that you haven't been into bourbon too terribly long. Were you
No,
Scotch before that?
I started as a wine guy and then I went into craft beers and now I'm kind of moving into bourbon and who knows where I'll end up next.
Oh, you've found the home now. I think it's
Okay.
done. I think the
All
quest is over. Yeah.
I go anywhere else.
Right. Why go anywhere else? You've now found the best. Why go back to the minor leagues? You're there. You're there. So all right, let's move on to the next. We will come back. So please leave some of that sample. Let's go ahead and pour the Heavy Char, which is the 2019. We're going to pour that. That's not the one we're going to be tasting though. We're going to be tasting the single barrel. This will be an interesting compare and contrast because we're jumping up 14 points on the proof scale. This is 122, our next one, the single barrel. But it'll be interesting to see how it drinks. That's the fun thing with these, a well-constructed whiskey. A lot of times you can't tell the proof, so it'll be fun to see how this comes in. It is one of the unique things about this series is everyone is so totally different. And of course we see that in our 4 offerings tonight. They are so varied, and that's what's cool. You never know what they're going to do next with this series. So very fun. All right. The single barrel, our second offering. Let's grab that one. If you haven't done so already, let's talk about that one on the nose.
Smells fruity.
Fruity. Maybe like cake icing.
Yeah, it's got a lot of sugar to it.
Yeah.
Or like a vanilla frosting.
Yeah, like a vanilla buttercream frosting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, that's good. I mean, on the nose, it's fantastic. This is,
What bourbon's supposed to smell like?
yeah. Mhm.
Really
Yeah.
can't wait
Yeah.
to taste it.
Yeah. Casey, this is going to be the one that shuts down the Scotch stuff and all the future travels for Casey. He's a bourbon guy after this one. This is it. All right, let's try it. Let's taste this one. Here we go. Wow. Coat your mouth like velvet. I mean, as I talked about, the malt a little bit harsher. You could feel that proof. 108 proof, you felt the proof. This one, while it has a nice warm hug, it is not hot. It is not hot. This is one of those at 122 proof. Be careful if you ever get a bottle of this. You sit there talking with friends, one pour after another. You could do this at days, go down so smooth, but that'll mess you up.
You stand up and fall off the porch.
Yeah, that'll get you. Yeah, my co-hosts on the Bourbon Daily are one of our podcasts. McNew used to always call things that were sneaky like that porch bourbons because she would famously drink until she fell off the porch. And this is one where you could drink till you fell off the porch for sure. It's fantastic. On the taste, I mean, honeysuckle is, I would say is there. It's got a sweetness to it too. But also like gentle versions of classic bourbon notes like leather and pipe tobacco. I think those are all in there too, but not very overpowering or anything, just very subtle, very, very good.
Got some nice subtle oak notes to it.
Yeah, nice subtle oak. Definitely.
Get a little bit of that sweetness. It rounds it out really well with that caramel.
Mhm.
It tastes like a good.
It tastes like a good bourbon should taste. It's got a nice like warmth and just a gentle hug and flavorful but not overpowering.
Yeah.
I would have picked that. This is 122 proof. I would have thought that it was in that.
Right.
Drinks
It
below
just-
its proof point.
Yeah, it feels it definitely has that feel. And again, I think when you drink enough bourbon, I mean, you think you know what bourbon is, but to define something to someone who's never tried bourbon before and be like, well, let me try what bourbon is. Again, it's so across the board. There's so many different takes on it. This would be one that kind of represents everything that's classic about bourbon. I think it's all kind of there. How about you, Casey?
It seems to hang out too. It's like, I feel like I've got a Werther's in my mouth or something. Like
Yeah.
that. It's just like hanging there.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes on the aftertaste, you can get, an astringency or drying out, you're not getting any of that here. It's just good. Like you said, like a Werther's candy sitting in your mouth. That's good. Anything else, Lee? Any other tasting notes you're getting off this one?
I mean, I was getting caramel, a little bit of the leather, just a nice, oak coming in there too, that just kind of rounds it out and balances it. This is fantastic.
Yeah. The way it coats the mouth is really good too. I mean, that's a big variance in different bourbons too. Some will be almost watery, like thin. This has a nice feel to it for sure. Casey, how about you, man?
So I agree. This is a concentrated version of all good things that are bourbon.
Yeah.
It's really,
It's like on the greatest hits record.
yeah.
of
I mean,
bourbon.
I
Yeah.
could sit here and linger over this glass for a long time. I'm not a big high proof guy. That's been established, but you don't get it here. Now you just get it's concentrated, not a flavor that you can pick apart at your leisure. This is fantastic. I'll probably be looking for a bottle of this myself.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a very, very, indeed a very good one. Yeah. How about you, Mike?
Man, this one is, I feel like I should have brushed my teeth before I drank this one after the first one, just to get rid of it.
Uh-huh.
Because there's still a little astringency from that single malt kind of hanging around.
Yeah.
But it is just really, really good. Yeah. If there was a big man with a white beard and a red shirt on, he'd say he liked it.
Exactly. We got a guy, for those of you that don't attend these on the regular, Mr. Bill, that's his screen name, Mr. Bill. And he never gives tasting notes or anything like that. His is, I'd buy that one, but if if it's the best it can be, he says, I like it. And that's the highest rating you can get in the world of bourbon and I like it from Mr. Bill. So yeah, that's the top rating. How about you, Mr. Legend?
Like I said, I think it's got some light oak taste.
Mm-hmm.
Caramel. It drinks well below its proof point.
Yeah. For those of you new to the events too, we do a yearly trip to Key West, and first time Rick was on that thing, he would close down the bars, or at least I don't know, our time there at like 3 a.m. He was the last person to leave the bars with the group, and then he'd be up at breakfast and the buffet at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I don't know how he did it for an entire weekend, but that's how he got the nickname The Legend. So ever since that time, he's been the legend, Rick the Legend Brenner. So yeah, famously, yeah.
I kept up with the young kids.
Winning at Key West, yeah. So that's not easy to do. So yeah. Anything else on this one? It's really
Just
good.
send a bigger sample next time.
Yes,
that's about the only thing I can
double
come
up
up
sample
with.
size. Note to self.
Yeah,
Yes,
3 sub buys.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Tell
That'll be
us
good.
where we get more
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah. That is really good. So, all right, we'll come back to that. We'll come back around and let's see what we got next. So, heavy char. This one's interesting too because what exactly is heavy char? So, most distilleries use either a 3 or 4 char. So, a 3 char means that it is in fire. So they put the fire through the barrel for 35 seconds. And if you go to a level 4 char, which is also known as alligator char, because it gives the wood inside the barrel almost a look like alligator skin, so they'll call it the alligator char. And again, most of your big heritage brands either use a 3 or 4, 4 being the most common. And I believe that's what Heaven Hill uses on a regular basis. That is 55 seconds. And then if you, for this one, a 5 char, that's what this is. This is a 5 char. And that is actually 85 seconds. So 30 more seconds of fire in there. So it really produces this thin, a thicker layer of carbon, which serves as a filtration system, of course. That level char inside there is not intended to add flavor or anything like that. It's actually a flavor subtractant because it serves as a carbon filter. Just like if you had a carbon filter on your water system, you had a Pura system or whatever, does the same thing. It removes flavor from there as it's going in and out of the barrel. So it gets out those impurities. And so in nature, this could theoretically be a very smooth offering. We'll have to try it and see. That's the highest that I've heard, other than one exception. And Buffalo Trace did an experiment, and they do a lot of different experiments. They did a level 7 char. So add a full minute on top of it. I don't know what's left of the barrel. I think at that point you just age your whiskey in ashes, and that becomes it. So, I can't imagine another 60 seconds being added on to the 55 seconds that we've got for a level 5. So that's level 7, though. They did an experiment with it. So,
well, Steve, what is Old Forester? What is it? 1910?
Mm-hmm.
They double barrel.
Yes.
And Jackie's Icon said they char that almost to destruction.
Yeah.
For that second barreling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if they put a number to it.
Right. Yeah. Which they can do all that kind of stuff. They have their own in-house,
Right,
which is kind of cool. They
yeah.
can experiment with all the cool kinds of things, which is fun. And of course, I think that's one of the best tours you can do, especially if you're wanting to get a picture of the entire process. Old Forester tour downtown Louisville is definitely one of the great tours to take for sure. All right, let's talk about this one. Oh, before we do that, let's pour our last one. We always like to pour one ahead, so let's do that first. That's our orange curacao ones. Let's pour that. Sorry, and then let's go ahead and get into the tasting of the heavy char here. On the nose, what do you think of Mike, color wise?
I was thinking it was going to be a little darker than the single barrel, and it is to a point, but not like I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm. This one I'm getting definitely out of the baking goods type thing, but also kind of a zesty thing too. So maybe almost like a citrus zest and baked goods. How about you guys on the nose? Anybody getting anything like that or different?
I'm getting a little of that citrus, but like a citrus frosting.
Citrus
on
frosting.
top of your baked goods. I'll
Okay.
go with you on that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I go along with the citrus.
Yeah. This is way different than the other two for sure.
Almost like a cinnamon toast crunch type of.
Cinnamon toast crunch. Okay. That's cool. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's try it. It's kind of sweet, really upfront. Again, with those baked goods are up front, and then it yields to more oak at the back for me. And leather, oak and leather type of taste for sure.
Definitely getting some of that kind of peppery
Pepper, yeah.
spice,
Yes. Yeah.
And
It's
it
definitely
is,
a
but
spice
it's
bomb.
nicely with the sweetness. I mean, this is a fairly sweet rye to me.
Mm-hmm.
This is real well balanced.
Yes, it definitely is.
Garam masala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was weird. I actually tasted it first as it was just hitting the mouth. I got almost like a Grand Marnier orange liqueur to it that quickly dissipated to get more of the heat. And I don't get the baked goods that I expected to have.
Right.
This.
Especially after nosing it, you expect that to be a kind of a baked goods bomb, but yeah. Yeah. Sarah, how about you? What are your thoughts? It was a miss on the first one, like the second one. Where are we at on this third one?
I'm disappointed. I was
Disappointed.
excited.
You were excited about this, but it didn't live up to expectations.
Really didn't live up to it. I get a lot of like almost like garam masala, allspice, like warm kind of flavors to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You're not looking for curry in your whiskey?
Not really. But I'm getting that kind of bite to it, and
Yes.
I've also been battling a cold, so all my flavors are a little off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, John, how about you? Anything else to add on top of that, taste wise?
Definitely get the oak and the leather to the back of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad. It's not great. I think if we probably tasted this one second and then had the single barrel, we probably would have been a little excited about it. But after having the single barrel, this one kind of comes up short.
Yeah. It's like when you're a comedian, you don't want to follow the best comedian of the night. Yeah. So I get that. It fell in a tough spot in the lineup for sure. Now I think the next one's going to be so different. It definitely deserves to stand alone. It needs to be, fourth. So again, and it'll be whether or not we like it. I'm telling you, it's going to be an orange bomb, but we'll see whether or not that plays out well. That could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. And again, it's all personal based. Mike, how about you on this one? What are your thoughts?
Man, I really want that single barrel in a heavy char cask. I'd really like to take that mash bill and put it in that heavy char and see what we got there.
See what you got. Yeah.
I mean, this one's good. The rye's always kind of throw me a curveball anyway, just because of the spice complexity and where it's going to hit. And yeah, it's really well rounded. It's just, it's not number two. Yeah. That's kind of been the sweet spot, it seems like, so far.
Yeah. Lee, how about you? What are your thoughts as you taste this one?
I think again, kind of what I mentioned before. I think it's kind of I'm definitely getting the traditional peppery notes with the rye, but it's balanced with the sweetness. This is a little bit of a sweeter rye than some of the others that I have.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting too, because this is our lowest proof of the night. It's 105 proof. If I had us guessing the proof, I think there's going to be plenty that would guess this is a higher proof than the previous one we just tried. That single barrel at 122 just drank it was just so soft drinking it. It didn't feel like 122. So this one it does warm up nicely for 105, but might guess this one is being higher than 122, which is a huge difference. 17 points. That's a lot. All right, Casey, how about you, man? What are you getting as you taste this one?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the other comments. The thing that stood out to me was, it had the sweetness up front, had a little hints of orange and some gingerbread in there as well. But it took so long to develop in my mouth. That was what was so interesting, is like it had such a long flavor profile. But I agree with John. If the single barrel wasn't in the lineup, this would be doing much better, I think.
Yeah, that happens. All right, last but not least is Mr. Rick, aka the Legend Brenner. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I get some oak, some leather, a little bit of spiciness, a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah, it's kind of all there for sure. I agree.
It actually drinks, I think, higher than its proof point.
Yeah, it definitely does. Definitely does. All right, let's set that one aside. And we're going to complete that journey with our next one. This is from 2018. This is an Orange Curacao Finished bourbon. And it comes in at 110 proof. So let's talk
Do we
about-
know if this is a bourbon or rye?
it's a bourbon.
It's a bourbon. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, those orange blossoms are really
Wow.
tickling the edge of your nose. there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Definitely getting the orange.
Goodness, I could.
Almost
visual-
like a Grand Marnier note.
Yeah. Hmm.
More so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I mean,
This is a breakfast bourbon.
Blast almost.
Yeah, a bourbon mimosa.
bourbon mimosa. Yes. It's definitely unique. I'll give them that. I mean, you know, it's all orange on the nose. Let's see on taste. Here we go. Cheers on this last one, gang.
Cheers.
Let's try it. Let's do it. Here we go. I mean,
That has such good music too.
Yeah.
The instrumental stuff, it's like.
Orange rind.
orange rind. Yeah.
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 The bitter.
Some
More
Right.
hotter than I
spiciness
thought it
there.
would be.
Get
Yeah.
a little bit of heat at the end of it.
Mhm.
There's a little heat at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
old fashioned drinkers would really like this.
Yeah.
Old fashioned for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely like a old fashioned for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely got kind of some of those spices you find around Christmas too, it seems like in there.
It's real, yeah.
Yeah. The ones that you find about that time of the year, I think.
Yeah, I'm getting a bitter orange, but I get that little playful little edge all around the edge is that kind of sweet orange blossomy taste.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of got an orange rind center. And
Yes.
some other spices as well to finish the profile.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. John, how about you? What are your thoughts as you taste this one?
Yeah, I go back. It's definitely got that orange, and you get that spice right to the middle of your tongue.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an old fashioned drinker, but I think if I were, I would like this a lot more than I do.
Uh-huh.
I could kind of expected to get like a little anise to it as well, but I didn't really pick up much of that flavor. And
Yeah.
that was just on the nose.
Yeah. It feels like, maybe some clove, but not anise. Yeah. I thought on the nose, I kind of thought there might be some anise there, but
Yeah.
on the taste, not at all, really.
What is this another high proof one or
Well, no, it's kind of in between all, but it's 110. So I mean,
110?
yeah.
'Cause it tastes a little hotter. than
Yeah.
110.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. How about you, Sarah? This is interesting. What do we got here, Sarah?
And it's obviously orange. Lots and lots of orange, but I get a lot more of the bitter, like the pith, not the peel, that white part in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
The little bite to it, little bitterness, with a little bit of sweetness on either end.
Yeah. There's definitely no hiding. It's definitely in your face, telling you what it is for
Yeah.
sure. Lee, how about you? What are your thoughts on this one?
I think this kind of reminds me of like an after dinner type, something
Yeah.
you would have like, you kind of framed it up before where you kind of said it might be like a dessert type drink.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got some sweetness. It definitely is kind of in the old fashioned type area, but I could see this being like a digestive,
Yeah.
after dinner that you could sit around and sip and enjoy, and it's not overly sweet, which is kind of nice.
True. Yeah. It's not like a flavored bourbon by any means. It's not,
Right.
those things are just syrupy,
Right.
sweet, sick.
I mean,
This
I
has
came
orange
into
flavor.
this-
Yeah.
I came into this thinking I was going to hate this, and I don't actually hate it, which
That's
is
pretty good. That's a good rating right there. I don't hate this. I thought I was going to hate it, but I don't. That's it.
I'd heard
that's
so
not
many
bad.
bad things about it. I was like, I'm going to hate this.
Oh
but
yeah. like if you post on Facebook and say, I'm drinking this one tonight, you'll have people attacking you, tell you how terrible it is. And I don't know why people are that way, why they feel they have to tell you how terrible something you're drinking is, but they would. I guarantee you they would if you posted this. But yeah, but you have to judge for yourself. It all comes down to personal taste. Mr. Legend, what are your thoughts on this one? You're getting no orange out of it, right?
No orange. I don't know what you're talking about at all.
Yeah, right.
No, it's got a nice, not overpowering orange flavor to it.
Yeah.
I think it'd make a great old fashioned.
Yeah. I think there's a place for this one. I do. I don't hate it either. You know, is this, even if it was affordable to do so, would it be an everyday drink? Oh, heck no. And it's not even anything I could sit around drinking. But at the end of the night, like Lee was saying there, perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
I could have a pour of this.
Well, it's like, when Evan and I went down to, Four Hands, they had 2 finished ryes. One was finished in a rum cask and something else that I can't remember, which was so you really, it was not memorable. And then they had one that was finished in the orange bitters cask.
Right.
And we really didn't think we were going to like it. We both walked out with a bottle of it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of this.
Yeah. I feel bad for Jay here. He doesn't get to try this with us. He has to watch. It's like torture. It's like, we're trying all this good whiskey and he doesn't get to join us. So it is what it is. Mike, you're next, man.
Um,
What are your thoughts?
yeah, I mean, it's kind of definitely knock you down oranges off the front.
Oh yeah.
I did give it 5 or 6 drops of water. That did kind of give the back notes a little room to escape. So it does seem to get a little more bourbony sweeter after a little water. I would say also definitely price prohibitive and sacrilege to some, but this would really probably go really well on a cube or 2.
Yeah.
Just kind of dilute some of that orangey down a little bit and let some of the bourbon come out. But if you're going to do that, just don't buy orange bourbon.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, let's set that aside. We're going to go back through all of these one last time. Again, higher level. Last time we asked everyone to weigh in individually on those. We won't do that this time, but we'll collectively go through them and see if there's any notes, anything's changed, like that type of thing. So we'll go all the way back to our malt whiskey, our first one we tried of the evening. Let's talk about that on the nose.
Oh,
What do you think? Has it evolved any?
I'm getting almost like a peanut butter smell out of it.
Peanut butter?
Yeah.
Yep.
I do too. And I don't know why that is, because there was no peanut butter at all the first time around.
Almost like a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
peanut butter candy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Or Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
nose definitely changed on it.
It has. In a good way, I think.
Yeah.
Smells good.
Yeah, we'll have to see. So that's what's fun about going back through the second time, because you just never know what's going to happen. So it feels like the nose is improved. Let's see on the taste. Let's see where we're at here. Maybe it's improved on the taste too.
Boston baked beans, the candy.
Yeah, the candy. Yeah,
Yeah, this turned into a candy bourbon.
Yeah,
it has.
it really has.
The time has been kind to this. It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, there's still a little kind of smoky burnt sugar kind of thing hanging around there. Maybe more like even like the peanuts out of Cracker Jacks.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
think these that's for the record.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
The peanut gallery chimed in, I think.
Yeah,
Oh.
a joke off camera.
Oh, we got that off camera.
Sorry, everybody. There's
That-
people at our house.
That's not part of the official record then. Yeah. We cannot accept that into the journal that I keep on the tasting notes on these. We
Oh,
cannot.
that was funny.
Yeah, we cannot do that. So, any other notes on as you taste this one? I mean, feels like this one's gone up.
Yeah.
Greatly improved from the first time I tasted it.
I like it now.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Wow, there it is.
That's
Very
come full
comfy.
circle.
That was a
Sarah
big-
was definitely against it. Now
180.
she likes it. So
I like it now.
Got a Mr. Bill turnaround.
yeah, that is a turnaround. That's a win. Let me text Heaven Hill and let them know. I was initially told them it was bad, but let me go back to them and say, hey, on second thought,
Just tell them to let it sit for a half hour before they
Yeah.
drink it, and
let it sit and things happen. So yeah,
Yeah, just decant that one.
yeah,
Moving on.
yeah. Decant it for sure. Yeah. I like it. I do this is good. I don't know if it's going to be able to knock off the next one we're about ready to taste, because the next one was really one of the all-time greats. But let's see what happens. Maybe this one has gone the other way. I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully this one stays. It doesn't have to change. This one just needs to stay where it was at. But let's see. Let's talk about our single barrel.
it's so much caramel.
I
A
know.
lot of caramel, a little floral,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah. Boy, that's pleasant on the nose. I mean,
It is.
I'm getting a lot of cherry,
cherry. Yeah.
candy cherry.
It's layered of flavor. So it's like you can put it to your nose, put it away, come back, and you might catch something else. It's really, really, really good. Very special. All right, let's taste it. Let's see if it stands up though. I don't know. I just love that one. It's
Just delicious.
it is just delicious. It's perfect.
Yep.
Really
The
a perfect
complexity
word.
is still there.
Yeah.
You know, you still can, sip it 3 or 4 times and get something different every time.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's 122.
122. You never know it. You don't know it till you hit the floor. Then they're like, that was 122 you were drinking.
Yeah.
Or you fall off the porch.
Yeah, when you fall off the porch and they're yelling at you, that was 122, Rick. Yeah,
That's
it'll get you.
search out if you can
Mhm.
find it.
Yeah.
That's worth looking for.
Yeah, and that is really, really good. Great representation of a bourbon. All right, the next one up is our Heavy Char Rye. Kind of mixed reviews on this one the first time. Okay. We'll see. We'll see what we got here. Second time through.
Still smells great.
It smells good. I mean,
It smells lighter than it did
lighter,
before.
maybe a little lighter.
Yeah, it's harder to pull anything off of it. Of course, that may
Yeah.
have been just because of the last one.
True. But
And once again, it's been faulted by its position in the lineup.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's weird. It's almost like this may sound strange, but it's like almost like a little bit on the front end of the nose. It's like a Fraser fir Christmas tree.
okay. Yeah. That's holiday appropriate, I guess.
Maybe I've been influenced.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's taste it. Here we go. I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, I want to go to Sarah here. I want to go to Sarah and see where we're at here. She had a turnaround on the first one. Let's see if we can get her to turn around on this third one. No, she's saying no.
Oh, it's fine.
Right.
Like I wouldn't go, ew, I don't want to drink that. But
Right. So say this group was together hanging out and this is all we had. Would you be drinking it, or would you be like, nah, that's I'll rather just have water?
I would drink it.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. It's not offensive then. It's just, yeah,
No,
just not,
By any means.
doesn't live up to I think you set a pretty high standard when you're talking about Parker's Heritage, because that's a really fine product, tough to get. So you demand perfection. I don't think there's anything wrong with holding it to a very high standard. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So I think you're okay doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
Because it was the only rye I really had it up there in my
Mhm.
mind.
Are you typically a rye fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. How about you, John? What are your thoughts on this one? Sometimes you guys are the same, sometimes not. So what are your thoughts?
No, yeah, I like this one. I think I'd probably like it more if it wasn't right single barrel. I do get the rye spice.
Yeah.
First time through, this one would have been definitely number 2. Now it's got a challenger. I think that the single malt came a bit closer to it. This one held a little bit true to form, but
Right.
it's nice strength. But I just keep wanting to go back to that single barrel.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this one?
Yeah, and this is all structure. It's very clean, it's long and you get that rye spice, but it's not really blowing my socks off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think right on the back end of the last one, I felt like the finish on this one dissipated a lot more quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You definitely get some of that rye spice, which you'd expect. But yeah, the finish just doesn't go on forever. And the other one just goes on forever and forever and forever. So yeah, just amazing. So tough standard once you compare it against that benchmark, but good in its own right. But yeah. This next one's so different. It's easy to differentiate them. It's almost a standout by itself, this Orange Curacao finish. I mean, on the nose, it's like orange and clove. I mean,
Yeah.
that's it for me.
It's got a good nose.
It's good.
I think orange and clove nails it.
Yeah, I mean, that's it.
Right. Nothing smells like it's artificial.
No,
So
which is nice. Yeah, I hate that when you get the flavorings out of a lab, but this is just very natural. Orange and clove. All right, let's taste it. Last one. Cheers on the last one. Cheers, gang. Let's see what we got here. I mean,
Oh, it got better.
yeah, it's good. I mean, I like it.
Got a lot.
Yeah.
I do like it. Again, not as an everyday drinker or anything like that, but for special occasion, after dinner drink, I think that's where it fits in life, and I think it'd be very good.
Yeah, time and a few drops of water are pretty kind to that one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mellowed itself out a lot.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did.
or in the morning with your biscuits and gravy.
Yeah.
It
Not
might
bad.
actually be a fairly good coffee accompaniment,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bourbon.
Spoken like a true legend.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. All right. We've gone through all of them 2 times. And now what I'd like to do is give you just a little bit of time. Let's go ahead and rank them 1 through 4, 1 being your favorite. Let's do the whole thing rather than just say what your favorite is. Let's rank them 1 through 4. So I'll give you just a little time here to work independently. I'm going to participate too. Sometimes if it's a blind tasting, I don't do that because I have this like strategic advantage in knowing what they are. This time it's open. We know what they are. I'll go ahead and participate in it too. So I'm going to rank them as well. This is tough. So taste them all as you need. Taste them all as you need. And yeah, I think the second time around, I think we would have a different ranking that, just the first time around, but the second time has changed things a little bit. So get it here. And I'm going to do that here too for just a minute here. Get my list together. All right. Wow. This is tough to compare. All right.
It's good to have these first world problems 2 days after Christmas, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no kidding.
Exactly.
Which bourbon is the best? Jeez,
Yes.
it's terrible.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not a bad life we live in the bourbon.
No big deal.
All right. Again, what I'm looking for is a ranking 1 through 4, 1 being your favorite, 4 being your least favorite. And is everybody ready?
Ready.
Okay. I'm just going to ask you, as you appear on my screen, you don't necessarily follow that same look on your screen I found with Zoom. The screen of the presenter is sometimes different than those out there, but I'm going to ask you. So I'm going to start in the top left corner of my screen, which is Rick Brenner. Rick, you're first. What is your favorite?
2,
Okay.
4, 3, 1.
All right. Okay. Next up on my screen is Mike.
I'm gonna go 2, 1, 3, 4.
2.
And that's really like 3, 3 because they're almost, I can't pull them apart. But
Okay. Next up on my screen is Casey.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same 2, 1, 3, 4.
2, 1, 3, 4. Okay. All right. Next up on my screen is John.
I'll go 2, 4, which is the heavy char.
No, 3 is the heavy char, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Sorry, I was going off the list. 2, 3, 1, 4.
1, 4. Okay. All right. Sarah, you're next.
2, 1, 4, 3.
2, 1, 4, 3. Okay. And then Lee.
I'm gonna go 2, 1, 3, 4.
2, 1, 3, 4. Okay. And I went 2, 1. I went 2, 1, 4, 3. 2, 1, 4, 3. So we do have our list here. So, and there's no ties or anything like that. So in fourth place, coming in fourth tonight, decent showing though, Orange Curacao. The Orange Curacao got 11 points in our scoring system. The next up in third place this evening was the Heavy Char. 13 points was the Heavy Char. And then a surprise, I think, in second place, the Malt Whiskey ended up in second place. And I don't think it was sitting there as we went through the first time. I think a second tasting really changed it for that. And it ended up in second place. But the runaway winner, not even close here, 28 points versus second place, 18. So that gives you, again, a pretty small group. The difference that we've got here, the single barrel runs away with it as the favorite. So that's clearly our favorite is the single barrel. Again, the 2019 release. No, excuse me, 2018 release. The 2018. Sorry about that. I grabbed the wrong one there. So yeah, so there it is. The 2018 single barrel is our favorite out of these 4 of the Parker's Heritage Collection. Very nice. So I think we tried 4 pretty good whiskeys. At the end of it, I think they were all decent. There wasn't a bad one in here. They're just, some that were better than others. Yeah. So that's pretty good stuff.
Pretty cool how they evolve too.
Yes. Yeah, that's a fun component of doing this. How we do it is that idea of letting them rest for a little bit and coming back to them. You do see that it truly does make a difference. So you don't necessarily get that when you're just pouring and drinking, and you don't necessarily notice that. But when you do it like this, it does help out with that for sure. Well, with that, we'll wrap this one up. That's the official end of the tasting. I do stick around though. So again, we record this and we make it available for those that miss the event. You have an opportunity to go back and taste along and follow along, which is pretty nice. And we put it out there on YouTube as well. So there's other people who don't attend the event, but still like to watch the tastings and see what we come up with as a favorite. So it will be out there. I'll send out an email to you guys, and please follow along, abvnetwork.com. Follow me on Eventbrite. Just follow Steve Akley, and you have access to all the events that we set up. We do these kind of tastings all the time, not just the ones just following Christmas. So please check us out. Follow me on Eventbrite, and that would be a good thing. With that, I'll say goodbye. We'll wave goodbye and say goodbye to the audience. I will stick around if you have any questions, want to talk bourbon, that type of thing. Thanks so much for joining us tonight.